I think also in light of what Foglia has just said, that there were clear loopholes in the regulation to which I will come back. However, I would like first to spend a word on the most common explanation of the crisis, the one that we find in the press, leaving aside populist things like greed and corruption and things like that, which I don't think are very useful. The most popular thing is wild deregulation. There is a paper by Barry Eichengreen which essentially inspires me in this, where it says all the steps, true, there has been a deregulation in the sense that markets, commercial banks, investment banks have become more competitive, start going back to the elimination in the 1980s of Regulation Q, a strange regulation that prevented banks from paying interest on deposits, so preventing them from competing for deposits among banks. The elimination of limitation on interstate branching. There's no point that a bank, which is the same thing we are trying to do in the single market. There used to be a regulation that if you were a bank in Massachusetts, you could not have a branch in Wisconsin. Another deregulation step was taken even before, eliminating limits on the commissions of brokers. Makes very much sense to eliminate such limits, not limits, such tariffs, decision, price regulation, so as to allow low-cost brokers to enter the market. The 1999 deregulation, elimination of Glass-Steagall, is the one, of course, that has been the most controversial. Also in this campaign, Obama at some point thought he had the killing point on the Republicans by saying that it was the Republicans who wanted this wild deregulation. It turned out when people went and looked at how the Congress voted that this was an absolutely bipartisan decision. Almost all of the Democrats, it was a Clinton administration among other things, it was 1999, almost all the Democrats voted in favor of this thing, and it makes a lot of sense to allow commercial banks to compete with investment banks. And after all, there was a competition from European banks which were adopting the German-style universal banking structure with the single market. So this made sense. Eichengreen goes on and say, well, all this deregulation obliged the investment bank to invent new risky activities to make up for the lost margin. Maybe there is a grain of truth in this, but it sounds very much to me like saying we shouldn't allow Ryanair and low-cost companies to enter the market, because if you do this, then the big old companies, Alitalia, Swiss Air, may go bankrupt. If one has this position, one has to also think, do I really want competition in the banking system, or because of course more competition implies a greater likelihood that someone will go out of the market, someone will fail, and one has to make up his mind on this. Let me say that the loopholes in many of the things we have seen were ways to get around the regulation. So if the regulation stays as it is, and you just increase, for instance, capital requirement, this would be like saying that the best way to eliminate tax evasion is to increase taxes. This is what essentially this is a mistake to avoid. Special purpose vehicles and securitization were ways through which banks exchange essentially mortgages and reduced capital requirements, sometimes also in a way which in some countries is a crime if you don't declare that you are giving a guarantee on the special purpose vehicles. In Germany, for instance, you were allowed not to declare this guarantee and pay capital requirements on such guarantee if you held it for less than 1 year. What did the German banks do? They held it for 364 days, sold it for 1 day, and repurchased the thing. Perfectly legal, right?